Hey loves, I'm back with another tutorial on a Photoshop file that we're doing with a blinged out charm and a chunky Cuban chain. And you might call these turnover chains, but we're going to use this file also for another image that we're going to create later. But for now, people want to know how to make the blinged out chains. So these are smart objects right now, and I can open one up and show you what it looks like. This is a local high school team. And with it zoomed in, you can see that it gives us the idea that there are stones inside of the graphic. It's not perfect, it's not lined up exactly around the image and elements, but it does give you an idea that that you have the stones inset. And then it has this nice little gold outline, but you can also change it to a silver tone if you wanted that effect. Right now, let's see, we have 5 layers, and what I've discovered is that the first 2 layers, when you're doing black or any other dark color like a navy blue or some even some dark blues, you really want to use 1 and 2 because your black ends up looking either really dark and you can't see the stones, or ends up looking washed out. So each of these effects has, or each of these layers have effects that are applied to them that add to the overall look. And I'm going to show you how easy it is with this file to take any logo and make your own blinged out version of it. So I'm going to exit out of this, and I didn't make any changes I want to keep, so I'm going to tell it no. And I think it's going to take less than 5 minutes to really show you how to do this. I'm going to take my time and do one of them, and then I'll probably do another one just to show you. And I'm going to challenge someone, one of my new clients that's learning Photoshop. She's only opened Photoshop 1 time. I'm going to challenge her to do her favorite logo for her son, and we'll see how she does. I'll call her in later and I'll do a part 2 to this video. So I'll show you how easy it is to actually be able to manipulate Photoshop when you know what tools to use, and especially when you have some inspiration. So we have a few logos that we did here already for some of the NFL teams. I know y'all are going crazy about making your stuff for this football season, so I figure what better way to motivate you to try to use this file. So let's go pick a team, and right now I think we got our Cowboys, Saints, and Eagles. I also got, let's see, I think Seahawks. Let's do a Seahawks. I think that would be pretty cool to try. I'm gonna look in my here and do Seahawks, and I'm going to look for the SVG version of the logo. And I don't really want to open it right now. Just want to drag it into Illustrator. I want to drag it into Photoshop. Now immediately I'm seeing with this image, I don't have my white border around it like I would really want to have in order to make this into a chain. So I'm going to save that one for later because I'm going to show you how we would have to do that. So let's pick another one. And I'm trying to think of one that has a pretty logo. The Browns, people are asking about the Browns, but their logo is just a helmet. We'll try it out and see. And we're going to look for the SVG. Let's pull it in. Like I said, I'm not crazy about this logo. I don't know why it hasn't been done. I guess it's the tradition. But I don't really see many people using this logo. And again, I don't have my white outline to it, so let's just go ahead and make one. Let's do a stroke here. And it's going to stroke everything, and that's fine. I just want to see a nice thick white outline that I can use to contrast my charm. And I think that looks good. We have some open spaces, but I can fill that up later. So let's say okay to that. And then what we're going to do is right click, and I'm going to turn that into a smart object. And the reason why is because I want this outline to act as a part of the application of the effects that we're going to do. So let's convert it to a smart object. Even though it was already a smart object, now with the outline it is a smart object. So that outline is in there. And the first thing we're going to do is open up this Bling logo charm template. We're going to expand that folder so we can see what that looks like. I have 5 layers. Layer 1 and 2, you're only going to use those pretty much when you have really dark areas like we might have here, and then you only need 3, 4, and 5 for all of the applications, whether you're doing light or dark images. So first thing we're going to do is not destroy our template. We're going to right click on that group and duplicate the group, and we will call this one Browns. So right now it's still going to show, if I turn that Browns logo on, it's still going to show the eagles, and that's because I used that one to set the tone, because it had light colors and dark colors and gray tones. So I wanted to use that to show you what we're doing. So let's drag our Cleveland Browns logo into that Browns folder. We can expand the folder now, see what we have going on. And I'm going to make sure that I have 5 copies of this. So you can do that by right-clicking on the words, duplicating that layer. And I don't care what you name it right now because we're going to rename all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Duplicate, so now I have 3. Duplicate, so I have 4. And duplicate so that I have 5. I'm going to name the top one 1, second one 2, third one 3, the fourth one will be 4, and the 5th one will be 5. Now the reason why I have these saved the way that I do is because I'm just going to copy the layer effects from each of these corresponding numbers. So for 1, I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy the layer style. Then I'm going to come up to 1 and paste the layer style. So for number 2, same deal. I'm going to copy the layer style. And then on 2, I'm going to paste the layer style. And now you can see those stones pop up, and we'll walk through what some of the effects are. It's a pattern fill that's on here right now, as well as some other effects applied to it. But let's just stick with the script. We're going to copy the layer style for 3 and paste it to our image 3. And then as you go, you can collapse these effects. If it starts to aggravate you that your layers are looking very, very long, it's cool, just collapse them until you want to read what the effects are. So now we're on 4, right click, copy layer style, on 4, right click, paste layer style. And just one more time, we're going to go to number 5 and copy layer style, number 5, paste layer style. And now we aren't on our template file. We can delete those layers. And just like that, we have a Bling file. However, depending on where your lights and your darks are, you might need to do a little adjustment. So I told you layer 1 and 2 is for when you have dark colors. So what I really want to do is highlight only those dark colors. So I'm going to grab my magic wand tool and I'm going to select the darker part of the helmet, the logo, and the magic wand is selected all of the dark parts throughout the graphic. And that's all I want to keep for this top and bottom, for this two top layers, 1 and 2. So I'm going to create a layer mask here and did that for 1, and I'm going to do the same thing for 2. As a matter of fact, I can alt and drag just that layer mask down, so I didn't have to do that step all over again. And lo and behold, it takes the dark areas and lets you still see the stones there, and then the lighter areas that have more of the mid-tones and the light colors, the stones look better with the effects for 3, 4, and 5. That's it. That's all you literally have to do in order to apply this to absolutely any logo. I would try doing this with your local high schools and middle schools. I think this would be really popular. Of course, your personal wear for the football season, people will eat this up. Let's try a different logo. So let me see what people are saying is hot right now. I've been seeing people talk about the Ravens. So let's see if we have Ravens. I'm pretty sure I do. If I can spell Ravens. There we go. And the SVG. All right, so this time I'm going to move a little bit faster. I'm still going to explain myself, but I'm just going to show you, it's the timestamp right now, 2:46. Show you the time frame in which you can do this. Bring it down onto your artboard. We can resize it to our desired size. Hit enter. Now the first thing I'm going to do is take my logo charm template, right click and duplicate that group. I am not going to mess with my original. I'm going to expand that group and drag my Ravens logo to the very top. And when I rename this, I'm going to rename this Ravens. Alright, at this moment, I'm going to create 5 duplicates, or 4 duplicates, because one of them is going to be there. So I'm going to duplicate. And I haven't looked up on Photoshop whether it's easy to duplicate multiple layers, but maybe that'll be some homework for me. So right now we have 4. Duplicate again, that's going to be number 5. And then we're going to relabel these 1, 2, 3, scroll down a little bit, 4, and 5. First thing I'm going to do is copy the layer style from 1, paste it to the layer style for 1. Copy the layer style for 2, paste the layer style on 2. Copy layer style from 3, paste the layer style onto 3. Copy the layer style from 4 and paste the layer style on 4. One more, 5. Let's copy that layer style and paste it. And then we can go ahead and delete the extraneous layers now. Let's get those bad boys gone. And that is your logo. Now I would like to show you, I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this one since we have black in this one as well. You may be happy with it as is without doing the mask on the black, but let's play with it and see if it works. So right now I'm going to contract all of my effects layers because I can't stand looking at them being so long. Alright, so for one, I'm going to select my magic wand tool, grab the black in the graphic, and it's grabbed everywhere that black is, and I'm going to go ahead and create my mask here, and then I'm going to Alt, select that mask, and bring it down to the second layer. And here's the deal. I believe that the purple is a dark color too, so let's try this. Let's add to this layer mask. I'm going to be on my thumbnail for my image on layer number 1. I'm going to select purple, and I'm going to add that to my mask by filling it in with white because white reveals and black conceals. So let me grab, and I can do it with a paintbrush, but I want to make sure I'm on the mask layer when I'm painting, not, well, it won't even allow you to do it when you're on the image because it's a smart object. But I was just going to test out and see if that's what I wanted. And then same thing on the second layer, have to do that on the mask layer. Yeah, that's definitely going to turn out better. So what that means, I'm going to step back 2 steps. And if you don't know in Photoshop, you can hit Control Z. Some of your programs may go back multiple steps. If not, you always have a history. So I'm going to go back in my history. And I'm going to turn off my layers 1 and 2 and see how everything looks good except for this black. I really want to see my black stones. Otherwise, it doesn't look believable to me. So I'm going to turn them back on. And another thing, I'm going to, let me select and deselect because I don't want to move anything around right now. I'm going to bring a copy of this logo above the group, and then I'm going to move it so that I can see what the original colors are of the logo, because you want to stay as consistent as possible. Not that. Oh, it is that. It just has a mask on it right now. And you can see what that layer effect did. It kind of made it transparent but look a little 3D. So let me disable that mask. And then this opacity needs to be 100% so I can see what's, oh, duh, it's got all these effects on it. So I need to clear the effects off of this. Just like you can copy and paste the layer style, you can also clear the layer style. And so now I can see what my colors look like, and I can see that honestly that darker color is more representative of the original color. So if I change it, the purple color, I don't know if that's purple or blue, I'm thinking it's purple, or blurple, it becomes a little too light. So I think we're going to keep it just like that. So we see our black stones, we see our white stones, and then we see all the colors in between. And that's it, guys. That is it. I'm keeping this tutorial short because we're going to use this charm and this chain. I also have in this file, have a couple of different chains. So that was the standard, and then I have a super chunky Cuban. That one's really popular. And then I have one that's a little bit shinier. And these are actually from photos of chains. And just learning how to do clip and mask will get you pretty far in this game as far as learning how to cut out your images and manipulate them. It's simple projects like this that take it to where you are limitless in what you can create. Now what I did want to do is go through, since I have not turned these into smart objects, I just want to show you what these effects do. So let's zoom back into our Ravens logo here. And at least you get an idea of what each layer is doing by the effects. And you haven't have to be worried about that. If you have a template, you're just going to copy and paste the layer effects. But if you really wanted to recreate this from scratch, you absolutely can. And I'm going to expand my effects so that you can see what is happening on each layer. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to show one layer at a time so we can build on it. Now the tutorials is technically done. I'm just going through, if you really wanted to know the breakdown of it, which some of us do, this will give you that. So on this layer, my fill and opacity is 100%. It's just the logo with an outline around it, and this outline has a stroke. This stroke is a gradient, and the gradient is what makes it look kind of like a metallic, shiny outline there. That's it. That's all that's on this layer. And I come up to layer number 4. I'm going to add on top of that. You see that this just gives a bevel to this outside gold here. So for this one, we have, if I double click on my effects, I can expand those for you. I have the bevel and emboss on, gives it a little 3D appearance if you look at that. We have, of course, the stroke, and the stroke is set to a gradient. You can always set the stroke to a color or even a pattern. We've got it set right now to gradient, so we get that good highlights and mid-tones and that metallic feel. Then we have a color overlay. Now the color overlay is just making this completely black background, so whatever colors we put on top is going to offset against that black. Now this is also why I believe that we're going to have to manipulate black and very dark colors when we bring them in, because it's not going to have the same effect as with the white background. So that's it. That's layers 4 and 5 are mainly for the outside appearance, and then of course to fill it so that we have something to build on. So number 3, that's our layer that has the most punch to it, and we're going to open it up and see what's going on there. Here we have a bevel and an emboss, and then we also have a texture applied here, and that texture is what's giving us this appearance of stones. So if we go into this pattern, and this is where on your template, now we're diving deep into it now, you can change the scale of how this pattern appears. And this is actually the texture that is within the fill. So this texture is making us have little sparklies or not have the sparklies, which we take them out, we can see it looks a little flat when we take it out. So the pattern, which is what actually holds the stones, has this, and I don't know if y'all can see it, if it's large enough, that swatch, but the swatch has the kind of, what is that, hexagonal shape in there, and basically you can change its scale to make your stones look bigger or smaller. And the smaller you make them, the less noticeable they are when they print, because when you get ready to print, typically you're going to or the program is going to flatten your file in order to print. So if you make your stones too small, they look like little tiny pixels rather than looking like stones. And then last, we have a gradient, and I want you to see what this gradient does. It basically provides a harsh kind of highlight at the top, and then it darkens it towards the bottom. If you don't like that highlight, let's say like it looks like his lower part of the logo is just way too dark. If we wanted to change that, we could change the opacity level to make it not apply so much. However, you can also go in, double click, you can change where this shadow starts. And like we discussed in the other video, when you bring these color stops closer together, it creates more of a harsh break versus a smooth and drawn out gradient. But that harsh break is what makes it look like shiny metal and shiny chains. So that's why that was created. If we go into that black and create a different color, So we're just using grays because we don't want to multiply colors on top of colors. We just want to use this for the gray tone effect. If I were to pull this up now, you can see the difference of using the medium gray instead of the black there. So I still get that harsh kind of highlight and shadow tone, but it doesn't die down the color that we had before. But for the sake of keeping the template, I'm gonna dismiss those changes that I made. I want you to play with it. That's what the file's here for you to have fun with that. So that was layer number 3, and like I said, you only need layer 1 and 2 really when you're playing with these darker colors. Like the black looks like it's painted on top of the stones. It doesn't look like it has a stone effect. So layer 2 is allowing us to see the black stones now, but the black stones almost look white. So let's go into those effects and see what we're working with there. I still have my bevel with the texture, I have my gradient overlay, and I have my pattern overlay. And what I want to do is, let's see the difference really quick between layer 2 and layer 3. Okay, the difference here is the blend mode, and I told you with Photoshop you can never guarantee what a blend mode is really going to do. You just literally thumb through them until you get the desired effect. So on the lighter colors, the linear burn blend mode worked best, but when I really want to see my stones, the darker layer, let me double click on the pattern overlay here. So the other one was a linear burn and this one is a hard light. So I'm sure you can get different effects by doing different things here. So hard light was the one that allowed us to really make those stones pop on the black layer. So then in order to replace a little bit of that darkness, because we can't just use a pure black fill, we did fill that layer, but we let the opacity of this fill, so the fill is 63% on this one, and it's a pure black. So if I were to change it to 100%, we still see some of the stones there, and they look like black stones. But my preference is to bring it down just a little bit. So to me, those black stones look a little more believable. And I think we had it like 63. So that would be the thick and the thin of it, creating those logos, blinging them out in 5 minutes or less. You can have a lot of fun with this. I'm telling you, the kids at your local schools will really eat this up. The girls and the guys, and you don't have to put the chain on the shirt. You can just leave it blinged out like this, and you might have a catchy phrase to go with it. Matter of fact, if you do modify this, I'd love to see what you come up with. Let me go ahead and activate one of the chain layers so we can get a final view of what we're working with. So our Cuban, and as a matter of fact, let me do the big boy. So that's our big boy there. And if you're questioning how you change the size of the emblem, you want to change it with the entire group selected. And at this point, since I have my image exactly how I want it, let me tell you what happens. If you don't have this selected as a smart object, and there's a setting in here where you can make sure that when you resize things, it resizes the effects as well. I choose to just right click, convert it to a smart object so that no matter what I do to it, it's going to change globally and universally. So if I expand that, make it larger, the size of my pattern doesn't change, the thickness of my outlines doesn't change, it's all changing uniformly. So if I wanted them to be super big on this shirt, just like that chain, then I'm good to go. And that is it. That's another tutorial. We're going to get into another lesson really soon, where we take the same concept and we do some lips. I have this file that I did some time ago. We're going to take those same lips and we're going to have the chain coming from beyond the teeth, and then the logo will be hanging from the chain. So I think that'll be a cool project to do based on some inspiration that I've been seeing and some really cool graphics that you all have been posting. And let me know if there's anything else you want to see. In the meantime, I will go ahead and close out this tutorial, and good luck, guys. Let me see what you're coming up with. I know a lot of you are watching now and getting really inspired, but what you do inspires me too. So I want to see what you all come up with. All right, until next time, bye guys.